So Matthew has very specifically structured this in such a way, this is not scientifically accurate, but it is theologically precise. And what he's doing is he is structuring it with 14 in each section. And 14 is the number of David. And here's what I mean by that. So my name is Kyle. And if you take K-Y-L-E and you combine, okay, what letter of the alphabet is that? That's 11, 25, 12, and 5. And then you add all that together. What's interesting is that if you take into account David's name, it comes out to 14. And so Matthew structured this just to say David, David, David. The new David is here. But there's something even deeper and more complex going on. What's interesting is that when we see 3 sets of 14, there's a pattern here. And it's interesting. By 3 14s, we see 6 7s, all right? And here's what I mean by this. Okay, this gets really complex and into numerology, so I'll keep it super, super general. In Jewish culture, there was a pattern that was very important. And in Genesis 1, God creates the world. 6 days he worked, 1 day he rested. That's the Sabbath. In Exodus 23, when God forms his people, the Israelite nation, he tells them to work the land, but in Exodus 23, he says every 7th year, the land gets a Sabbath. You back off from the land, you let it rest. Then in Leviticus 25, he says every 7th 7, which for those of you not good at math, I had to look this up too. That's 50 years. Every 50 years. So every week you Sabbath, you take 1 day off. Every 7 years you give the field 1 day off. And then every 50 years, the 7th 7, is the year of what is called Jubilee. And this was such an incredible, and this was so ahead of its time. You want to talk about social justice, you want to talk about progressive, what the year of Jubilee was that all debts are forgiven, all slaves are free, everything gets reset to 0. And what's interesting, and the final thought I want to leave you with, is as we look at Matthew being the fulfillment of all the promises of God, what's interesting is that it would seem that Matthew structured this genealogy in such a way to lead a Jewish audience to recognize, even in the numbering of the ancestry, that we are entering through this coming child, this Messiah, this son of David, this son of Abraham, we are entering into the year of Jubilee, where our debts will be forgiven. Our trespasses will be removed. Our bondage will be broken, and we will enter in to God's rest.